Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Radha Shiva Sundar Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 21, verse 18. Tat prasanganubhavena Ranti devanuvartina Abhavan yogina sarve Narayana parayana Tat prasanganubhavena Ranti devanuvartina Abhavan yogina sarve Narayana parayana Tat prasanganubhavena Ranti devanuvartina Abhavan yogina sarve Narayana parayana
Tat prasanganubhavena Ranti devanuvartina Abhavan yogina sarve Narayana parayana
Taprasanga anubhavena. Because of associating with King Rantidev. Rantidev anuvartina. Followers of King Rantidev. Abhavan became Yogina. First class mystic yogis or bhakti yogis. Sarve. All of them. Narayana parayana. Devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. Translation: all those who followed the principles of King Rantidev were totally favored by His mercy and became pure devotees attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. Thus they all became the best of yogis. Purport: the best of yogis are mystics of the devotees as confirmed by the Lord Swami Bhagavad Gita. Yogina Makasarvesha Makatena Charatmana Sradavamastaya Mam Savayotatamomatah. Of all yogis, he who abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The best yogi is he who constantly thinks of the Supreme Personality of God and within the core of the heart. Because Rantidev was the king, the chief executive in the state, all residents of the state became devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana by the king's transcendental association. This is the influence of a pure devotee. If there is one pure devotee's association can create hundreds of thousands of pure devotees. The Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said that a Vaishnava is meritorious in proportion to the number of devotees he has created. A Vaishnava becomes superior not simply by juggling of words, but by the number of devotees he has created for the Lord. Here the word Rantidev Anuvartina indicates that Rantidev's officers, friends, relatives, and subjects all became first-class Vaishnavas by his association. In other words, Rantidev is confirmed here to be first-class devotee from Bhagavatam. Mahatsevam Varam Ahurati Bhaktes. Much greater service to such Mahatmas. For them, one will automatically achieve the goal of liberation. Pranartham Das Thakur has said, Chariya Vaishnava Seva Nistar Bhayachit. One cannot be liberated by one effort, but if one becomes subordinate to a pure Vaishnava, the door to liberation is open. From Garga came a son named Sini, and his son was Garga. Although Garga was a Kshatriya, there came from him a generation of Brahmanas. From Mahavir came a son named Duritakshaya, whose sons were Triharuni, Kavi, and Pushkaruni. Although these sons of Duritakshaya took birth in the dynasty of Kshatriyas, they too obeyed the position of Brahmanas. Brihakshatriya had a son named Hasti, who established the city of Hastinapur, now Delhi. From Hasti, his three sons named Ajamita, Vimita, and Puruvita. The descendants of Ajamita, headed by Priyameda, all achieved the position of Brahmanas. Purport: this verse is evidence confirming the statement of Bhagavad Gita that the orders of society, Brahma, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, are calculated in terms of qualities and activities. All the descendants of Ajamita, who was a Kshatriya, became Brahmanas. This was certainly because of their qualities and activities. Similarly, sometimes the sons of Brahmanas or Kshatriyas become Vaishyas. When a Kshatriya or Brahman adopts the occupation or duty of a Vaishya, he is certainly counted as a Vaishya. On the other hand, if one is born a Vaishya, by his activities, he can become a Brahmana. This is confirmed by Narada Muni. Yasya Yalakshana Proktam. The members of the Varnas or social orders, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, must be ascertained by their symptoms, not by birth. Birth is a material quality, is essential. We read this. From Ajamila came a son named Brihadishu, from Brihadishu came a son named Brihadanu, from Brihadanu a son named Brihadkaya, and from Brihadkaya a son named Jayadratha. The son of Jayadratha was Vishada, and his son was Senajit. The sons of Senajit were Ruchirasva, Dridahanu, Kasya, and Vasa. The son of Ruchirasva was Para, and the sons of Para were Pridusena and Nipa. Nipa had 100 sons. King Nipa begot a son named Brahmadatta through the womb of his wife Prithvi, who was the daughter of Shuka. And Brahmadatta, who was a great yogi, begot a son named Vishvaksena through the womb of his wife Saraswati. Purport, the Sukha mentioned here is different from the Sukadeva who spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Swami, the son of Vyasadeva, is described in great deal of detail in the Brahma-Bharata Purana. There it is said that Vyasadeva maintained the daughter of Jabali as his wife, and that after they performed penances together for many years, he placed the seed in her womb. The child remained in the womb of his mother for 12 years, and when the father asked the son to come out, the son replied that he would not come out unless he was completely liberated from the influence of Maya. Vyasadeva then assured the child that he would not be influenced by Maya, but the child did not believe his father. For the father was still attached to his wife and children. Vyasadeva then went to Dwarka and informed the personality of Godhead about his problem, and the personality of Godhead, at Vyasadeva's request, went to Vyasadeva's cottage, where he assured the child in the womb that he would not be influenced by Maya. Thus assured, the child came out, but he immediately went away as a Parivrajacharya. When the father, very much agreed, began to follow his saintly boy, Sukadeva Goswami, the boy created a duplicate Sukadeva who later entered family life. Therefore, the Sukha Kanya, or daughter of Sukadeva, mentioned here in this verse, is the daughter of the duplicate or imitation Sukadeva. The original Sukadeva was a lifelong brahmachari. We read this also. Following the instructions of the great sage Jayagi Shalvya, Vishvaksena compiled an elaborate description of the mystic yoga system. From Vishvaksena, Udakshena was born, and from Udakshena, Malaka. All these sons are known as descendants of Brihadishu. The son of Vimudu was Yavinara, whose son was Pritiman. The son of Pritiman was well known as Satyadriti. From Satyadriti came a son named Ridanemi, who became the father of Suparsva. From Suparsva came a son named Sumati. From Sumati came Sannatiman, and from Sannatiman came Kriti, who achieved mystic power from Brahma and taught 6 Samhitas of the Pacha Sama verses of the Sama Veda. The son of Kriti was Nipa, the son of Nipa, Ugrayuda, the son of Ugrayuda, Kshemya, the son of Kshemya, Suvir, and the son of Suvir, Ripunjaya. From Ripunjaya came a son named Bahurata. Purumida was the son of Jamira, had a son named Nila by his wife known as Nalini, and the son of Nila was Shanti. The son of Shanti was Sushanti, the son of Sushanti was Puruja, the son of Puruja was Arka. From Arka came Parmyasva, and from Parmyasva came 5 sons, Murgula, Yavinara, Brihad, Vishva, Kampila, and Sanjaya. Brahmyasva prayed to his sons, "O my sons, please take charge of my 5 states, for you are quite competent to do so." Thus his 5 sons were known as Panchavas. From Mudgala came a dynasty of Brahmanas known as Maudgalya. Mudgala, the son of Brahmyasva, had twin children, one male, the other female. The male child was named Dibudasa, and the female child was named Ahalya. From the womb of Ahalya, by the semen of her husband Gautama, came a son named Shatananda. The son of Satananda was Satyadriti, who was expert in archery, and the son of Satyadriti was Saradvan. When Saradvan met Urvasi, he discharged semen which fell in the clump of Sharagrass. From this semen was born 2 all auspicious babies, one male and one female. While Maharaj Santanu was on a hunting excursion, he saw the male and female children lying in the forest, and out of compassion he took them home. Consequently, the male child was known as Kripa, and the female child was known as Kripi. Kripi later became the wife of Dronacharya. Thus ended the Bhagavatam purport of the 9th canto, 21st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, titled the Dynasty of Bharata. So this is mainly again a tracing of the genealogies of kings from Vairasatha. This actually is one of the functions of the Puranas. They have 10 subject matters, one of which is Manvantara. So to list the Manvantaras and to trace the dynasties. And of course, Puranas in general deal with history, the history of the different kings, etc. So we'll often see in the Puranas long lists of dynasties. It's a typical topic of Puranas, just as we'll find similar things in the Mahabharata, where we get long lists of dynasties. This is common not only to Puranas in India, but it's common around the world. So we'll find such lists also in other epics like the Iliad and Odyssey, the Greek epics or whatever. You'll find all these genealogies. So this is one way in which history is recorded. And through this we can trace back history to some extent. And when we get to the modern history, of course, then we'll get let's say, up to Krishna and after Krishna, we'll get some of the dynasties which are, more recent. We hear in the stories of kings that often they have these singers that come along, like in other countries they have these singers also. They praise the king, that Suttas and Magadhas, others. And what they do is, some of them have a special function of reciting the history. So they'll recite the history of the king, that this king is so great because he came in the dynasty, so he did this, the next king did this, the next king did. So they glorify the king by reciting his dynasties. So this is quite important in ancient culture, the lineage of a person. So especially the lineages of the kings is important, because we see this lineage produces the kings who rule the kingdom and establish Dharma. And, of course, here the Manus establish not only Dharma but Bhakti. So, therefore, we'll have this whole content here of lineages of kings, recent kings. In the previous cantos, of course, the details are not given. For instance, we have Swayambhu Manu, and then his immediate descendants are there with Dhruva and others like this. And it doesn't say all the different dynasties in that one, because that was millions and millions and millions of years ago. And similarly, the other Manvantara periods was very sketchy. We don't get whole details. We just get the founder, Manu, and maybe his immediate son or something, or grandson, and that's about all, although they actually lasted for 71 yuga cycles each. So we get 6 of those going on. So the 6th one was Chakshusha Manvantara. So Chakshusha became the founding king, and he established generations for 71 yuga cycles. Then we get Vaivasata Manu appearing, who was previously Satyavaka. So he establishes one line, and this is described in more detail, because this is our present Manvantara period, where Vaivasata Manu rules. And it's important because in this lineage, we get the appearance of Rama, and we get the appearance of Krishna. So therefore, more details are given of the dynasties. Probably we'll find it all the way from Vaivasata Manu himself all the way down. We get the whole lineage in detail here mentioned. We can trace it out with the lineage and personalities. So this is traced all the way up to the appearance of Krishna, which means just 5,000 years ago. So it goes to 21 yuga cycles times 4 billion odd years. It's a long period of time, and this is traced through that period. So we can see that probably some of the kings had very long reigns, and not just 50 years or whatever, for a few thousand years each probably. So anyway, the lineage continues up to Krishna. And then afterwards, in the later cantos, probably Canto 11 or 12 or whatever, and even in the 9th canto here we'll find afterwards there's also a description of lineages after Krishna and how it gradually declines and declines as we get into Kali Yuga, and then we get very disgraceful leaders assassinating each other and Sudras taking control of the kingdom, so the whole lineage becomes lost at that point in Kali Yuga. So this is therefore this is why we have all these lineages described. So obviously it's not philosophically very deep or whatever like that, but they have a purpose in recording the history, so we know where Krishna came from, where Rama came from, etc. Anyway, the whole purpose of the Bhagavatam is ultimately to lead up to the appearance of Krishna. So by the end of the 9th canto, then we have the appearance of Krishna to Vasudeva and Devaki, and then the 10th canto goes on to describe all of the activities of Krishna. So therefore, this is just like a preparatory chapter, canto to the appearance of Krishna, giving his lineage, etc. Similarly, of course, we also have another lineage described. The whole first canto is dedicated to describing a lineage leading up to how the Bhagavatam was spoken. So there's so many topics there, whatever, but ultimately the whole purpose of all of that is to show how Sukadeva received the Bhagavatam. So we get various stories taking place, but ultimately the whole purpose is to show the appearance of Parikshit, and then of course before Parikshit we get the whole story of how he was, killed in the womb, etc., and saved by Krishna. Then we have the story of Veda Vyas getting instruction from Narada Muni. Then we have the whole story of Narada Muni, and he got realization by association with sages, like this, starting from, let's say, the second or third chapters of the first canto. So all of those chapters ultimately lead up to the appearance of the Bhagavatam. What is the origin of the Bhagavatam as we know it? And finally we get to Sukadeva, and he begins speaking in Canto 2. So we have a lot of history actually discussed to show the authority of the subject matter. So the one is the subject matter of Bhagavatam is authoritative because it is the condensation of all the previous knowledge. And here we get a discussion of the lineages of the kings and how they evolved and had descendants, etc., etc., etc. And then finally we get the appearance of Krishna. So Krishna does not just randomly appear. And even the old dynasties of kings is not a random affair, as we see. The king makes arrangements, so it is through his arrangement that we get appearance of the Manu, who establishes the whole Manvantara period. It's not a haphazardous thing. It's by the will of the Lord that a certain person is given powers to establish a dynasty that lasts 71 yuga cycles. So that it's not a random affair. However, we do see that because it is the material world, that though the Lord does plan out the leaders, etc. in general, the details are all a little bit flexible. So each day of Brahma, yes, the Lord appoints a new Manu who's given the same thing, but it's actually a different jiva. So we get a Swami, Manvantara, king, etc. So the Manus are all the same in one sense, the positions are the same, but the details will change somewhat because it's the material world. And within each history, we'll find some of the kings are better, some of the kings are worse, etc. So for instance, previously we have a description of some of the more materially attractive kings. They were more involved in karma kanda, and some were actually completely in Maya, like King Vena. And then we get appearance within the dynasty of avatars of the Supreme Lord. So we get Prithu appeared, it was a Shaktavesh avatar. And then of course in this line here we get appearance of the great avatars, Ramchandra and Krishna appearing within the dynasties. So the Lord himself arranges for his appearance in a certain way. So generally, it is a remarkable appearance of some sort. Sometimes it is not through the dynasty of kings. So we get a Varaha appearing through Brahma's nostril. There's no kings involved there at all. Or we get Srimad bursting out of a pillar. No dynasties at all. Other cases we get some dynasties. So Kapila's appearance through his father and mother, etc. Like that. Sages in general will have that type of appearance, or Vedavyas appearing through mother and father, etc. And then we'll get Rama and Krishna appearing in very great dynasties, that is in the Manvantara dynasties of kings. So this is to give them some sort of credibility that they have greatness attached to them, materially speaking, because they are born in a great dynasty, and dynasty is glorified. So in this way, the Lord takes his birth in the material world. Of course, exceptionally, we find that Krishna is also born in another way, that is through Nanda. They're not great kings. Nanda's not a great king, he's a coward. So this is Krishna's dual nature. To satisfy the people who are interested in grandeur and royal lineage, then he's born in a royal family of the Yadus. And of course, even the Yadus themselves, though they look like they are born in a material dynasty, they are also generally into citizens as well, so they also have spiritual bodies. So, and the Lord himself is spiritual. So though the Lord chooses a certain dynasty, which has nothing material connotations to it, when the Lord and his immediate associates appear there, they're not material. However, there is a little problem after that, how to get rid of them. Because they are spiritual, so they're eternal. And technically they can remain forever, so the Yadus can stay there forever. But according to the history, they shouldn't, because they should also disappear when the Lord disappears. The Lord cannot separate themselves from his devotees. So therefore the Lord makes some arrangement for their disappearance, which also looks credible from the material point of view or whatever. So therefore we see the Yadus fighting with each other, killing themselves and dying off and that. So that's just an appearance. So our acharyas explained that the Yadus did not die in that way. That was an appearance with material bodies. And actually the Yadus didn't even go to Pravasvetra and get drunk. They stayed in Dwarka. And they're still there. And the other forms separated from their bodies who went there. And they fought whatever. And then the Amsas of the Devatas who had entered into the Yadus, they left those bodies. And so in a sense the bodies did die. Because the Amsas of the Devatas who were in those bodies, then they left those bodies and they returned to Svargalokha, wherever they came from. So the Lord makes different arrangements for his disappearance and the disappearance of his associates in this material world. So though the Lord looks like he appears in a material dynasty, technically he doesn't actually, because he is eternal. But he glorifies these dynasties of the kings and gives them even great authority. So because of the appearance of Krishna in the Yadu dynasty, which belongs to the dynasty of the moon, which belongs to the Vaivasvata dynasty, then that whole lineage gets some glorification as well. And of course, they also get the benefit. Just as a devotee born in a certain dynasty and family, then he gives benefit to the previous and the future offspring. So all of these descendants, Bhanu descendants get benefit from the appearance of Krishna in the Vaivasvata Manu's dynasty. So therefore the appearance of the Lord has several functions, but he manifests himself in this way to show his glorious nature. Simultaneously, as I said, Krishna is born in a cowherd family, which is not exalted like the Kshatriya family. So generally it is the kings who are glorified. But Krishna chooses to appear in the family of cowherds simultaneously. And why is that? Because that is also his eternal nature, to be a cowherd. So therefore it's appropriate that he be born among the cowherds. So therefore he's born to Yasoda and Nanda. But for people who are not so devotional or so attracted to this form of Krishna, then Krishna gives the other alternative. Krishna is born to Vasudeva and Devaki, he's born in the Yadus, and he's a very great person. So people who want more Aishvarya aspect of Krishna, then they can choose to think of Krishna as being born to the Yadus in a glorious dynasty like that. But of course, those who are very attracted to Krishna in a very intimate way, they prefer that he is not born in such a way. And therefore, the alternative is that Krishna appears to Mother Yasoda and is her child as well. So therefore, it's explained that when Krishna appeared, it appears that he was transferred from Mathura to Gokul. And then he was placed in the cradle, and the Mother Yasoda thought he was the child. So technically, externally, it looks like he was not really Mother Yasoda's child at all. Vasudeva's child, Devaki's child. And they just fooled Yasoda, thinking it was their child, and they took their child, who was a female, away, and took that back, and comes and tried to kill her. But our acharyas explained that no, actually, Krishna was born from Mother Yasoda also, simultaneously. So what happened to that child? When Vasudeva took the child and he put it in the cradle, the two merged together. And he didn't see the other child there, but put it in the cradle. It was dark, and the two merged together. And simultaneously, twins were born to Mother Yasoda. So that girl was there, and she's the younger sister of the younger sister of Krishna, because she's a twin. So he took the twin child, and thought that was the only child, and took that back. So therefore, Vasudeva always thought that actually Krishna's my child, but I've given Krishna to Yasoda and Yamuna to raise, but when he comes back, he's actually my child. But for Mother Yasoda, no, he's our child. So both are true. But ultimately, for the very devoted devotees, Krishna is the eternal son of Nanda and Yasoda. And so they worship him in that way. So therefore, Krishna appears in both ways to both parents, but simultaneously he's unborn because Supreme Lord. That's always the case with Nrsimhadev and Viraj, so they're always unborn. But they must make an appearance somehow in the material world. And of course they can choose, like Nrsimhadev, no parents at all, or they can choose a spectacular appearance, like Viraj coming out of the nostril of Brahma, whatever. Or they can choose a more normal appearance, with mother and father, like Vamana or Vyasadeva, or Rama or Krishna have a mother and father. So when there is an appearance of the mother and father, then there's a little bit of an opportunity for a variation in rasa. So because the Lord appears through a mother and a father, therefore we get a manifestation of Vatsalya rasa. So with Ramchandra, we get some Vatsalya rasa of his parents, Dasarata and his wife, or Rama, and the other brothers as well. And when Krishna appears, then we get Vatsalya rasa of Nanda and Yasoda, and of Vasudeva and Devaki for Krishna. However, other than Krishna, with forms other than Krishna, like Rama, that Vatsalya rasa is quite limited. Because as well as being the parents, they also recognize that the child is the Supreme Lord. So there's a mixture of Vatsalya with Aishvarya Rama. It is not pure Vatsalya. But in Vrindavan, when Nanda and Yasoda give birth to Krishna, then there is pure Vatsalya with no recognition of any idea that Krishna is Supreme Lord at all. So we get, by the appearance of Krishna, the Supreme Lord through parents, some Vatsalya rasa, but with Krishna it becomes extraordinary because there's no mixture of the concept that he is God at all. So that's the particular quality of Krishna in Vrindavan, that there's no mixture with Aishwarya at all, of any of the rasas. And of course, the rasas, because they are somewhat limited because of this nature in other places with other forms of the Lord. So the Vasudeva and Devaki, they have Vatsalya simultaneous, they have Aishwarya, so this quite limits their Vatsalya, whereas with Nanda and Yasoda it is unlimited. So in this way, Vasudeva and Devaki, when they saw Nanda and Yasoda with Krishna and Balaram at Kurukshetra, they were astonished. How is it that Yasoda and Nanda treat Krishna as their child more than we do? Even though they're not their children actually, they're our children. But they have more affection for Krishna and Balaram as their children than we do, even though they're our children and not their children. So they were very astonished how Mother Yasoda and Nanda treated Krishna and Balaram as their children, the great affection they had for them. So even they realized that the relationship of Nanda and Yasoda with Krishna and Balaram was much greater and much stronger than their relationship, because they didn't see them as Supreme Lord at all. But they thought it was very mysterious because they didn't understand that actually that Krishna is eternally the child of Yasoda and Nanda. So anyway, Krishna makes his appearance in this way for that particular purpose, to manifest intense vatsalya. So that's another reason for his appearing in this way through Yasoda and Nanda. And of course, to manifest greatness, then he appears through the Yadus and Vasudeva and Devaki, and he shows more greatness. So, of course, also by appearing through a mother and a father, he shows his very human-like nature. And by appearing as a cowherd, again, more human-like. So when he appears in the Yadu dynasty with powers and greatness, etc., and manifests his form, then he is human-like kind of, but they also see him as Supreme Lord. In Vrindavan, they don't see him as anything else but human. So they see him as the son of Yasoda and Nanda completely, nothing else. Doesn't come from anywhere else. So this establishes a greater intimate relationship of Krishna with the people of Vrindavan. So that's another reason for his appearing in that particular dynasty, that is Yasoda's and Nanda's dynasty. Nevertheless, even though he's born in a cowherd dynasty rather than a kingly dynasty, even that dynasty is glorified, and there is a relationship with descendants of Nanda with the descendants of, or with Vasudeva. So there's a relationship, similar relationship in their ancestry there. So they act as brothers as well. So then there's a certain amount of greatness attached to Nanda Maharaj's lineage as well. So though he's born in a cowherd family, at the same time, he does have a great lineage as well. So sometimes the cowherds of Nanda's family is also mentioned as Yadu for that reason, because he comes from the same lineage as Vasudeva. So they have a greatness in that sense also, even though they're cowherds. So anyway, this is the lineage that comes down here. They come from this sort of lineage here. So that is why the lineage is traced, to show the mercy that Krishna gives to the people of the material world by appearing like a normal person in the dynasty.
He didn't ask the permission of Nanda and Yashoda to take the child. He just went into the child. It's not improper for a person to just do this.
Yeah. Well, the answer to that is the great affection for his child. And then we can say, well, there's no fault in that because actually he's the Supreme Lord. So if we give fault to the affection of a person for the Lord as the Supreme Lord, how can we find any fault with that at all? So he should do anything to protect that child. that would be the answer. Even though on the moral point of view, so well, he's actually betraying his friend by, doing that. But at the same time, we see that nothing really happened because he exchanged the children, but the child that he exchanged, even she did not get killed. Kamsa could not kill that child, Durga Devi. She rose up in the sky and disappeared. So he was powerless, so there was no disaster after all. So nobody was actually killed in that process.
Nowadays we see reading in newspapers that sometimes the child from one bed is pinching the other bed.
Yeah.
That is we see in hospitals.
So it's not an unlikely incident where children get exchanged. So it even happens now in the material where they substitute children or whatever and steal someone else's child out of the hospital or whatever like that. That is also something that happens nowadays. So it's not unlikely that could have happened at that time as well.
Maharaj, see, if you take this Srimad Bhagavatam, Nigamma, Shuka Mukha, Amrita Swami, okay? And normally Bhagavatam is, can release this came from the Mukha, means the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami. But we see the first canto, it will come to Shukadeva Goswami. Then how can we relate this first canto?
How is it?
How can we relate this first canto? This didn't come to Shukadeva Goswami.
Yeah.
On second canto, after second canto is there,
that's true. And also the later part of the 12th canto again is not Sukadeva. It reverts back to the others, the discussion again. And he ends his discussion to Parikshit, and then the ending is the last few chapters again are not his discussion at all. So the first canto and the later part of the 12th canto are not technically Sukadeva speaking. So on that grounds, of course, we can say, but we won't read the first canto or the last part of the 12th canto because Sukadeva didn't speak it. And what Sukadeva spoke is ultimately the sweetest part of the Bhagavatam. So that's a logical proposition we can make. But Vishnu Chakravarti says that, well, that is reasonable to say like that. We don't actually approve of that. And we also accept the first canto and the last part of the canto that he didn't speak as Bhagavatam. And we accept it on an equal level. So even though it's not spoken by Srimad, we still accept it as Bhagavatam.
What is the cause? What is the cause?
I suppose because it is the subject matter is directly related with that. In other words, I said the first canto is the history leading up to how Sukadeva spoke it. So that is equally spiritual and equal to the rest of the Bhagavatam in that sense. But it concerns ultimately how Sukadeva arose, etc.
Can you say that it's like an introduction of introduction?
Yeah. Well, just as the preliminary rites of the sacrifice are not the sacrifice, but we call it the sacrifice, and we include it because it's essential to do and purify the fire in that way before we actually offer the greens into it. So we call the whole thing sacrifice and include it in, even though it's the introductory matter. So in the same way, bhakti itself, sadhana bhakti, is not real bhakti in the sense it's not prema, it's not pure, but you have to do it to get to the bhava and prema anyway. So it's included in pure bhakti itself. So in the same way we can say that the first canto and the last part of the 12th canto are not spoken by Sukadeva, but we included the Bhagavatam because they're essential to introduce and conclude the whole matter.
In that sense also the first to 9th canto also deals with several other chapters, whereas the core of the Bhagavatam is about Krishna. So
yeah.
Just like cooking. Before cooking, ingredients are taken. Without them, you can't take the product. Package. Sukadeva was also the duplicate. The false Sukadeva was mentioned.
Yeah.
Like this Ajamila also different. This Ajamila mentioned here because of other Ajamila.
Who?
this is Ajamida.
Oh, he was the son?
Ajamida.
Yeah.
Not Ajamida.
Ajamida. But he was the son of Sukha? This is it?
Before Sukha.
Oh, the father?
Father is the son.
No, but the father was must be Ajamida. Prithvi was the daughter of Sukha, and Prithvi married King Nipa. So Nipa's wife was Prithvi, and she was the daughter of Sukha. So this Sukha was the other Sukha. So he wasn't directly in the line, in other words, this is part of their line, but he married into that family.
What is normally see this avatar normally they are in this visual world, correct? But what about the Manvantara avatar?
No, they are Manvantara avatar. Yeah, they're also spiritual. They're different from the Manus.
Yeah.
Manu is he was previously what's his name? Satyavata. So he became the Manu. So he is a vibhuti of the Lord. He has a material body. He's given special powers to found the lineage of kings. And he rules for thousands and thousands of years, etc. and establishes the dynasty that lasts for 71 yuga cycles. So he has got a material body. He's got some powers given by the Supreme Lord. The Manvantara avatar is different. That's an avatar who also lasts for the 71 yuga cycles and maintains some order by his prominence. So each Manu's period, or Manvantara period, has an avatar who presides over the whole period. So the present Manvantara avatar is Vamanadev. So in other words, he's now residing on Sutala Loka. So he stays there for 71 yuga cycles and presides there. So he's a long-lasting avatar. Right? So previously, for each Manvantara period, those avatars are listed and actually in the 8th canto, the future avatars, the Manus and the avatars are also listed. Yeah? Like after this, then the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, like this 13th, 14th, the Manus are mentioned, and the Manvantara avatar are also mentioned. Yeah? So they're different from the Manu. So they're actually forms of the Supreme Lord.
What about the Shakti Avatar? Shakti Avatar. Although Avatar, but then there are more also.
What about them?
Yeah, they also have a body in the spiritual world.
Well, they have an abode, but their spiritual body is very eternal. So Narada Muni is a form in the spiritual world, and then he manifests himself in the material worlds. So he's a special jiva with an eternal body, or Prithu. His body is spiritual, not material. He was born in a dynasty of kings or whatever. Yeah. Veda Vyas. Though our Veda Vyas, particularly this lineage now, is not. He is actually the Supreme Lord himself. So sometimes there's a combination where the Supreme Lord himself takes the role and the jiva merges into him or something like that. As in the case of Veda Vyas. So there's a list of Veda Vyasas for all the different Kali Yugas, just before Kali Yuga and the Dorpa Yugas in the future ones, in I think Mahabharata or something like that. But those are obviously jivas.
He said that, our present Vyasaka is still in Himalaya or something. People say that.
Yeah. He's there. And the last descendant of Manu was also there. He was previously mentioned that he's also residing there. And he will manifest himself at the beginning of next Satyuga and reestablish the Manu's line again, and that will go on.
The lineage is mentioned until the Krishna's local yuga. The Kali Yuga, the lineage is not mentioned at all.
No, there is lineage after that's mentioned.
Not detailed.
Not in detail, but somewhere there we get the Nanda dynasty and different dynasties, which has a historical reference also in terms of material history. These different dynasties. The Kanva dynasty, I think, is there. The Nanda dynasty, the Maurya dynasty, those dynasties have some historical thing, maybe like a few thousand years ago. So they're mentioned, but of course they're all very corrupted in general, very corrupted. So the lineage is broken at that point, and then people get assassinated, and Sudras take control, and so it gets all jumbled up at that point. So it gets lost, in other words.
You find in India, still people, not in India, all over the world, people find the lineage very important. Like with this particular caste,
Yeah.
In India, it's too much. They gave the daughter of son only to a particular lineage.
Yeah. Well, that is, of course, we see here, there's a great emphasis on lineage.
Yeah, Prabhupada is mentioning in the
whole dynasties are given in detail. So in the Varnashram system, again, lineage is very important. And actually, when you introduce yourself to another person, then you're supposed to cite your whole lineage, where you came from. And you'll see in the Bhagavatam also, they say, who are you? And then they have to state their lineage. My father is so-and-so, my grandfather is so-and-so, like this. And that's the general etiquette, politeness, that you identify yourself by your lineage, so that everybody knows who you are. So in other words, family was also, identity was very important in judging your character, etc. So that's the thing. But as we see here, Prabhupada makes the point that because in here, these lineages, we say that they didn't actually so much lineage because some became Brahmins like this. Quite often we see this lineage here, that some of the sons became Brahmins instead of Brahminical lines like that. So we can trace a lineage, but we cannot always trace the Varna through that as well. However, since Kali Yuga began, generally they trace the Varna also simply as through the lineage, and one is born in a certain Varna, then they assume that everybody in that lineage was the same Varna, whatever like that.
So where does ISKCON fit in? Like children's born in ISKCON.
Yeah.
How they categorize it?
Well, not only ISKCON, but even the Varna system in general in the modern age is not very exact, because one may be born in a Brahmin lineage, but as I said, we don't know the quality of the people in that line, where they do Brahminical activity, did they Brahminical qualities, or whatever. They may be born into a Brahmin, and therefore they maintain a Brahminical lineage, but the end product in the modern age, we don't know. And the other thing is, even if you do have the qualities, but when you're growing up, you're not trained properly, you don't act according to those qualities, then it's also useless. So you may be highly qualified, potentially, but you're never trained in the proper way to carry out your occupation properly, then it's also useless. So you can call yourself a Brahmana, but actually that's also just a name. So you should have the qualities, you should act according to the qualities, and therefore it says, guna karma vibhagasaha. We should categorize people according to the quality and consequently the activity you do. But if it's just one quality without the activity, it's also useless. And if we just give you the activity without the quality, it's also useless, because your activity will ultimately be useless. So those are the factors there in Kali Yuga. But in general, when they talk about the Varna, they don't talk about the jati, the birth or lineage itself, and they don't talk about the guna or the activity at all. So then that's also misleading. So therefore, the identification of Varnas by jati in Kali Yuga is very, very deceptive. Now, as far as devotees are concerned, then the whole thing changes, because technically the devotee is above the Varnas by being a Vaishnava. Okay? So that is mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion in the very beginning, where it says that the quality of bhakti is klesha mean. And then it says klesha means klesha means destruction of ignorance, destruction of desires,